Salli there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the review of the Götterdämmerung EP by Varg. Varg are a metal band from Germany whose prior album, a disc called Das Ende aller Lügen, I already covered with a review, and let's just say it wasn't my most favorable one. You can find a link to it in the description below. Since this week was a bit light on releases, I decided to give them a second chance and cover their freshly released EP. Since it's only 4 tracks long, I will do a little track by track look at it, basically to even out the length here, so I'm not done in just 3 or 2 minutes. Starting you off is the eponymous track Götterdämmerung. For those who don't know, Götterdämmerung, or the Twilight of the Gods, is also known as Ragnarök and describes basically the end of the world in Nordic mythology. The track opens up with these dialed down guitar riff before some really heavy tuned riffs and drums blast through the speakers, and the guitars overall on this EP feel a good bit heavier and more prominent and with just more oomph behind them than they did on their last album. In terms of composition, this track really doesn't tread any new ground, but the mix gives this track a good heavy feel. Near the end, you also get a bridge that is surprisingly slow paced, with spoken lyrics and a choir-like humming in the background, and these are maintained throughout the last hook, which is played with full instrumentation again. Lyric-wise, Varg decided to basically turn the Ragnarok around here, describing a warrior who stands against the gods. It certainly is no poetic gold, but it will surely resonate with their fans by picking up all the cliches of standing tall against an enemy, being a proud and unbeaten warrior, and so on, which Varg are regurgitating for years now. It's basically what you would expect of Varg lyrics, except less cringy than usual. The second track is called Hel, and it goes down basically the same route, but this time the target is the eponymous ruler of the underworld. The track basically describes the path to the Hel with some descriptions of the way, interspersed with how they all shall die. Again, lyrics-wise, it seems pretty standard for Varg, but I would say it's far off from the worst they have ever sung. The guitars and drums don't sound as heavy as on Götterdämmerung, but you will still have some very zippy riffs presented to you. And especially the hook is catchy as hell, led by this whimsical riff which stands out because the notes have a significant higher pitch here than the rest of the track. The third track, Beißreflex, is basically the dud on the disc, mostly because of the lyrics here. I'm not sure if Varg want to cater to their wild wolves image here, with lines about biting and having wilderness in your eyes and a confused mind and all that, because you could easily apply it to someone going crazy on bath salts. Sure, you could argue that it's meant metaphorical, but I'll be frank here, I don't think Varg is capable of delivering that. Music-wise, it's alright, hits the same notes as the prior two songs, with the hooks sounding somewhat chaotic, which at least somewhat fits the theme here. Maybe I could have tolerated the gruesome, dumb lyrics more if the song would at least sound accordingly ferocious, but for the most part it simply doesn't. Knochenpfad is the last track on this EP, and this one actually surprised me. It starts off with entirely spoken text while horns in the background build up an almost threatening atmosphere. The song takes mostly slower pace, the guitars have their heavy sound from the first track again back, and Varg take us into hell, of course by means of the mythological ferryman. While one guitar plays in the background constantly, another one chimes in regularly and thus overshadows the other one for a moment completely in the hook. And in between it dials it all down so much that even the bass gets a chance to shine. It manages to create a very fitting atmosphere, almost reminding me of the masters of horror metal, The Vision Bleak. Clearly not as well crafted, but I felt this was an unconventional mood to go for Varg, and for that they pulled it off really well. I was actually surprised by how much I liked this song. Ultimately, it could be boiled down to this. If you already have an opinion on Varg, be it positive or negative, this EP will probably not sway you. Points of critique I brought up prior still stand. For example, that the band is so focused on this whole wolves and warrior images. Their music still feels surprisingly tame and teethless in comparison. It's metal aimed at a wide audience. The fewer corners, the better, and thus it got polished to an almost disgusting degree in production. The heavier guitars certainly helped a bit, but in the end it feels more like a product than a piece of art. Fans of Varg will get more of the stuff they like. Easily understandable lyrics, you can bellow along, trying to feed off a tough guy, lone wolf, strong warrior image, and so on. Either you can stomach and like it or not. Last track aside, Varg don't stray off the beaten path here for them. However, I would generally recommend the last track because, as I said before, it was surprisingly good and I think they did really well here. So, to come to a conclusion here, the Götterdämmerung EP is better than I expected it to be completely honest. Varg turned their sound a bit around and it did them really good, but in the end it's still an overly polished disc. The lyrics, while no poetic gold, are by far better than what they delivered on their prior album, except for the aforementioned song Beißreflex, which is and stays absolutely stupid. I also think this EP shows that Varg can make pretty good metal if they decide to just shed off the whole strong unbeaten warrior lone wolves rah 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 image finally. So I honestly hope this is an indicator where they are going in future because I would certainly appreciate it. So, I hope you enjoyed this review, and if you did, please leave a like or just subscribe to the channel if you're new here. If you have listened to the Götterdämmerung EP by Varg, feel free to tell me in the comments what you thought of it. I'm very curious to hear from you. You can also follow Sounds German on Facebook and or Twitter. I do regularly post new music videos and stuff like that there from German and Austrian and Swiss artists. And you can also find relevant shopping links or music videos from this very disc in the description below. Thank you very much for listening. I hope to see you again. Have a nice day. Salida!